a birthday funeral. And it is, mostly. Hey Black Stars, welcome to the 20th episode. I'm Anastasia X and I love art almost as much as I love Black people, so I started Black Star Reviews to shine a light on Black creatives in New York City and beyond. Today we have something special, an interview. Our guest is Ebony Noelle Golden, the lead artist for The Divining, Ceremonies from In the Name of the Mother Tree, which is the first show of the season for the National Black Theater. I met with Ebony on a warm Friday afternoon in September in the offices of the legendary Apollo Theater just a few hours before the curtain rose on opening night. Calling The Divining a show fails to express all that the experience contained, so I'm thrilled to be able to give you a peek at the performance right here in this episode of Black Star Reviews. In honor of Ebony's vision, the episode follows its own structure. It weaves together my written review of the show, footage I took at the processional, and Ebony's interview to create something divine. Before we begin, let's take a moment for the dedication. Usually, we dedicate each episode to an artist ancestor, but this time, I'd like to take some advice that was given to me and honor my connection to two women who, in their own ways, are the reasons why I'm here. Ruth Newsom and Winnie Duckworth. I've lit a candle for both of them today. Without any further ado, here's Ebony. So if you could, please introduce yourself in the context of this project.
My name is Ebony Noelle Golden. I'm from Houston, Texas. And in the context of this project, I'm the lead artist. I've generated the content. And a big part of this process, and who I am, is also I work as a choreographer. My initial training in the arts was in choreography and in dance. And then I'm a writer, I'm a poet, and so I really have my fingers in a lot of different creative modalities. So yeah, I'm the lead artist on this project.
It sounds like you're quite the creative force.
Some would call it that. Some would say that. Yes. I'm curious. I'm very curious about stories and people. I'm curious about what it means to make worlds on stages and on street corners and in parks and gardens. And that's the way I feel like I work through what I understand and don't understand about being a human being this lifetime. My identity as an artist comes from curiosity as opposed to anything else, and wanting to see communities work together creatively to imagine the world that they want to live in.
As we move through Harlem for the processional and this today, I know that there's going to be people on the street asking everybody, what's going on? And so I'm wondering, what can you authorize me to say?
Well, I think you should say what you feel.
Okay.
What do you feel about what's going on, and what do you think this is? A processional is a very ancient ritual. People have been doing this since the beginning of time. There are lots of reasons from birth to transition into the afterlife, And so what the procession means for you is important. Each step you take, each song we sing, each person who speaks is going to leave an impression on you. So speak from the heart. But really what we are doing, from my perspective, is we are honoring the ways in which people in Harlem have lived in right relationship with this community. I refer to the some of the folks who are coming as cultural farmers, So like the elders who are going to be with us, they have made a way. They have tilled soil.
Yes.
And we need to honor them. Mm-hmm. We need to sing the songs that they sing. We need to process with them. We need to ask questions. You know, we need to lift them up. And then we're going to be going to sites where people are growing food. People are honoring revolutionary ancestors. All of that is a part of what it means to open a ceremony. And so the processional is a way for us to be in a congregation, for us to walk and listen and pray and lift up an energy and a vibration that hopefully will sustain in this community. That's what you can say. We are honoring the land that makes it possible for us to grow.
I cannot wait for someone to ask me. I might walk up to them and be like, would you like to know what's going on?
That might be a good idea. That might be a good idea. See you on the street.
Oh, you will. Ready to march.
Yay.
Thank you. It is your Black birthright to mark beginnings in white attire and with movement. Christenings, baptisms, revivals, cotillions, and debutante balls, opening convocations at HBCUs, weddings, and now the 2024-2025 season of National Black Theater, entitled Pilgrimage. The opening piece of the season is Ebony Noelle Golden's The Divining, Ceremonies from In the Name of the Mother Tree, which fills the mouth and stirs the spirit.
I work in ethnography, so I'm always sitting and asking people questions. That's why I started this by asking you a question. Anastasia. Anastasia. Yes. Anastasia. Yes. Okay. What media outlet are you from?
I have my own media outlet.
Yes.
It's called Black Star Reviews.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I just started it in February.
Really? Why?
Why? That's a great question. I'm supposed to be interviewing you.
I've been interviewing folks for a long portion of my life, and what the work is and what the real work is. So for me, making a show is not the real work.
Okay.
That is a product of doing the real work. But the real work is sitting with people, understanding the stories of our elders and our ancestors, eating together, struggling together, creating dynamics in which people can both thrive and be pushed. And then if we get there, we can show other people what we've actually done.
Ebony's body of work takes hold of your hand and leads the way back to the land and the water. In our interview, I'd asked how she could seed those themes in a place of stacked concrete. She didn't tell me, she took me. On the opening processional, we journeyed to gardens in the village of Harlem and heard from those Ebony deems cultural farmers. She didn't tell me, she took me. In the Victoria Theater, there were crickets and night sounds and the smell of clay dirt. Life began in a garden.
You know, acting is not my craft.
Okay.
I like to work with actors, but the idea of actors having a dramaturgy packet and they sit at the table and imagine from the table is really not my way.
Right.
And so some people call them casts or ensembles, but I really like to gather folks as communities, you know, and work with us to both understand what we're here to do, taking a portion of our ensemble to sit with farmers and to be in a community where people are revitalizing a small town. To me, it's not only dramaturgy, but it's life practice, you know?
Many things can be simultaneously true. It is not a play, not a show, not a musical. There are performers, there is music. Must it be defined? Distilled? I held my tongue in my grandmother's kitchen. She had told me on another occasion to just listen, watch, and try to learn something. The divining presents itself as an elder, showing you everything, telling you nothing, and expecting, reasonably, for you to intuit the intended meaning. It's only frustrating if you demand predictable structures, if you insist on checking off the story elements like a grade school reader. You are God. Stop thinking.
We share some roots in Houston.
You from Houston?
My dad lives in Houston, and I have a lot of family in Houston.
Oh, okay.
But my family is Houston by way of Mississippi.
Okay.
And in my research on you, I was
yes.
scrolling through your Instagram.
Yes.
I saw that you were recently in Mississippi.
I was in Utica.
You were in Natchez.
Yes.
And you visited the Devil's Punch Bowl.
You really did do your research.
I do a little bit of research.
Wow, that's good. That's great. Yes, we were there, a part of the ensemble, which whenever I do a road trip, a research road trip, I try to take at least 2 or 3 people who have been building the work, because it's important. What this world is supposed to be is going to be crafted by someone who lives it and does it and breathes it.
Yeah.
At the Mississippi Center for Cultural Production, that's run by Carlton Turner and Brandy Turner. It's a family-run institution, and folks who've been in Mississippi for a long time. Carlton's family's been there for many generations, and taking some of the brothers, or the folks who are playing the male characters in the piece to Mississippi means that they can. Don't trust me. Don't take my word for it.
Right.
And so it was a very powerful sojourn. And it really did shift my understanding of the work and the duty that, masculine presenting folks, men folks have to deal with in order to make it in this world.
I just appreciate you taking the trip. It's so rare that I cross paths with people who have gone and seen the state for themselves.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing. I mean, I'm a Southerner.
Yeah.
So yes, my default is to get out of the city.
Yes.
And this work really pushed that. I didn't know how we were going to fund all of these research trips. Victor, who is the environmental designer, one of the scenographers on the piece, set dresser, is from East Texas.
Okay.
And so we started by going to the Gullah Islands. And so these coastal Black communities from Virginia to Texas have been the sources of my understanding and our shared, value set, which is so important in a work that is a ceremony and is helping folks to understand how we can reclaim our connections to the earth and to the planet. It's clear to me that we have to go there to know there, as Zora Hurston says.
Yeah.
We can't write about this world, these communities, these families from a distance. We have to go and be uncomfortable sitting at someone's kitchen table and asking the questions and walking their farms. And Mississippi is just one of the places, that people are told to stay away from. People are also told to stay away from Texas.
For sure.
And Louisiana. Anywhere where we have actually been able to grow things.
Yes.
Maybe it was taken away by policies and, and laws. But we cannot forget that we stewarded land and lived close to the land in ways that were fortifying for our communities. And we have to tell those stories too.
We do.
Yeah.
The next time you start to describe a performance as immersive, resist. Give this word a rest. It is overworked. Did the show begin with a swish of live branches in the atrium? I doubt it. This one did. Reconsider also spiritual. If you possess a spirit, every moment of our lives is a spiritual experience. The divining calls us to remember. Y'all eat and do not pray. Y'all breathe and do not believe. They only believe what they see.
A lot of what you're saying is resonating with me. I've been trying to spend more time and energy getting back to my roots, right? My roots in Mississippi. Your work is so much about land and water. And this is a place of concrete. How do we do spiritual work? How do we get back to the land in a place like Harlem?
Well, I have to tell you this. My folks that are a part of my ensemble, my studio, Jupiter Performance Studio, have made a way. I have Jason Fletcher Christian Laws, who plays Clay, turned his whole balcony into a garden and is growing real food.
Yeah.
Our associate choreographer, Ebony Webster, has become really, really adept at herbs and farming and camping. One of our other associate artists, She Dance, but she has, this deep sense of understanding about how her grandmother's garden was kind of like a world for her, and there are many other stories. This has been a journey for everyone. Some folks have literally come back home to plants and flowers. Some people have come back home to memories. But it's possible here.
Yeah.
The spiritual practice I want to just offer is, for me, requires a mentor, a teacher, an elder. And you can do whatever you think you want to do, but in my understanding, and that is just from a personal heart space, the practices that are rooted in where your people come from, are rooted in you. You could be in Harlem, you could be in Gloucester, Mississippi, right? It's your connection to the people who know, and your willingness to sit with them and listen to them, and do what they offer. And be able to discern what is really for you and what isn't, no matter where you are. Also, Harlem is a place of Southern people. There are a lot of Southern people in Harlem. And that has been the case since Harlem was Harlem.
Of course.
And so I find that just because of the way I move in our community, that I'm always finding people bringing Southern nuances to the streets of Harlem. You just have to know what you're looking at and what you're looking for, and you have to know the right people. And so I wouldn't suggest, just going out and doing stuff in the street. Right. Although you will see us going out and doing stuff in the street today. But I do suggest talking with your elder. But just ask them, what did y'all grow? Ask somebody, what did grandma keep in the pantry? What did she pickle? What did she can? That'll tell you a lot about what she believed. Or if she's still with you, ask her directly. But these are the things, right? Did you ever make a poultice if somebody had a skin issue? What did you eat on these days? How did y'all practice watch night? When you start to ask about the ceremonies and the rituals, then and the food, then you will get to the source, because what grows in Mississippi may not grow in Harlem. Right. And some of these very local spiritual practices are rooted in the land, literally, what grows there. You use what you have. My people are Southern Baptists. So if I go into the house, which I have done before as a younger person, talking about, now, what did y'all do if somebody did, no,
we're not doing that.
We don't do that. Right. And you absolutely don't, right? But the idea of what it means to know what your people grew and how they built a life around growing seasons, that'll tell you a lot about how they used what they grew in the service of their own wellness and vitality and spiritual practice.
Altars can be erected in any corner with whatever holds value for you, the supplicant, though they may not be as beautiful as the ones crafted for the show by Victor Lee Gibbons. An idea for my altar? Pits from all of the peaches I've eaten this summer, washed and dried. After years of flaky crusted cobbler offered free of charge, I planted an adolescent peach tree in the front yard on Mother's Day. I never ate the fruit it bore. We moved the next summer. In a recurring dream, I return. Juices run down my chin, and the fantasy is enough. Remember, home and church and family and salvation is where you are. There is nothing here that is not still God. Let me say a few thank yous before I go. Many thanks to Ebony for her candor and taking the time to chat with me. Thank you to the National Black Theater and the Chamber Group for coordinating the interview. And thank you to the Apollo and everyone working there for providing the interview space. If you are an artist working on something you'd like to talk about, please connect with me on Instagram or TikTok. And as always, I'm sending you all black love and starlight. See you next time.